Hello everyone, this is CA Prachi Parekh. In today's video, we are going to analyze the provisions of Section 115BAA and Section 115BAB, which were introduced by way of an ordinance in the month of October 2019. These two sections were introduced with the intention of providing certain concessional tax rate to corporate assessees. The provisions which are being discussed in this video are applicable for the assessment year 2021, and they would be particularly useful to the students of CA final who are set to appear in the November 20 attempt. Apart from that, professionals who would like to get a more deliberation on this particular provisions introduced would also benefit from this video. Moving on further to discuss the provisions. So before we go on to have a look at the detailed provisions which are specific to each of these two sections, let us have a quick bird's eye view or a comparative analysis of these two sections. So talking of section 115BAA, this particular section is applicable to any domestic company. It would include an existing company and also a newly incorporated company if it is not covered under the provisions of section 115BAB. The rate of tax which is specified here is 22%, increased by a mandatory surcharge of 10%, and after including the higher education cess at 4%, it takes the effective rate of tax to 25.168%. There is no eligibility criteria specified under this particular section with regards to the nature of activities which are to be carried out by the company opting for this particular section. The provisions of minimum alternate tax or MAT are not applicable in this case. This option to go in for the concessional rate of tax can be exercised by the company in any particular previous year, and it has to do so when it files its return of income for that particular year when it decides to opt in for this particular section. So there is no mandatory requirement that the company has to choose this option from assessment year 2021 itself. It can do a benefit analysis and then decide to opt in for this section at a later period. And whenever it chooses to do so, in the first return which is filed relevant to that previous year, this particular choice would have to be made. There are a certain list of deductions and exemptions which are specifically not allowed, or these companies have to forego them, which we are going to cover in the next slide. The point which I'm trying to make here is those any kind of brought forward losses which are there out of such deductions or exemptions would not be allowed to be set off once the company decides to opt in for this lower tax regime under section 115BAA. Depreciation under the normal provisions of section 32 would be allowed to these companies. The provisions related to additional depreciation per se would not be allowed in case the company wishes to go in for the lower tax regime specified under section 115BAA. Once this company decides to go in for this lower tax regime and the option is exercised in any particular year, subsequently, if there is any violation or there is any failure on the part of the company to comply with the conditions mentioned in this section, then in that case, the company would be out of the provisions or the scheme which is envisaged by section 115BAA, and from that particular previous year onwards, the provisions of normal tax, that is tax at the rate of 25% or 30% as the case would become applicable to these companies. Coming to the next section we have here, which is section 115BAB. Now, under this particular section, the applicability is for new domestic companies which are specifically engaged in the activity of manufacture or production of any article or thing and research and development of such article or thing. The tax rate which is specified under this section is 15%, increased again by the mandatory surcharge at the rate of 10%, further increased by the higher education cess at 4%, taking the effective rate of tax to 17.16%. Now, this particular section gives us an eligibility criteria. It specifies a period within which this company has to start off with its manufacture or production related activities and research and development. The period which is specified for the purpose of this section is from 1st of October 2019 to the 31st of March 2023. The provisions related to minimum alternate tax are not applicable in the context of these companies. For this company which decides to opt in for the scheme specified under section 115BAB, there is a slight departure. It has to go in, or it has to choose this option in the first of the return of income filed. So these provisions are in a way mandatory from assessment year 2021 itself, unlike the provisions of section 115BAA, where the company could decide to go in for this particular section at a later previous year after exhausting probably its tax holidays or the MAT credit lying to its disposal. So that particular aspect is not there in the context of this section because it is essentially a newly incorporated company. The provisions of depreciation under section 32 would be applicable as far as this company is concerned. However, the provisions relating to additional depreciation would not be available for companies opting for the lower tax regimes. If at all in any subsequent year there is any failure to comply with the conditions specified by this section, in that case the company would fall outside the purview of section 115BAB. It would not then be able to avail the concessional rate of 15% of tax which is there. However, once the company is outside the purview of section 115BAB, it could then choose to be governed by the provisions of section 115BAA if at all it fulfills the relevant criteria, or otherwise it would be governed by the normal provisions applicable to companies, which is paying tax at the rate of 25% or 30% as the case may be. So this was a tabulated comparative view for major aspects related to both the sections. Now coming to the next, we're going to look at the list of deductions and exemptions which have to be foregone by companies opting for either the scheme under section 115BAA, which is tax at the rate of 22%, or the scheme under section 115BAB for newly incorporated companies, which is tax at the rate of 15%. So under section 10AA, any tax deduction for units units established in the special economic zone would not be allowed. The provisions pertaining to additional depreciation under section 32 would not be available. The deduction for investment in new plant and machinery in notified backward areas under the provisions of section 32 AD would not be applicable. Deduction for any donation made to approved scientific research associations, universities, colleges, or other such institutes for doing scientific research under the provisions of section 35(1) would not be applicable. Any deduction in respect of in-house scientific research related activities done by these companies would also not be available. Deduction in respect of capital expenditure incurred in respect of certain specified businesses. Like we have a list of businesses specified under section 35 AD. Just to name a few, it would be cold chain facility, warehousing facility, any affordable housing projects which are set up, etc. Those deductions would not be available to these corporates. Deduction at the rate of 40% of the profits from growing and manufacturing tea, coffee, etc., which are covered under the provisions of section 33 AB would not be applicable. Section 35 CCC, which deals with agricultural extension projects, which is a weighted deduction at the rate of 150%, and section 35 CCD, which deals with notified skill development project, which is again a weighted deduction at the rate of 150% of the amount of expenditure. Both these weighted deductions would not be available. And all the deductions under chapter 6A which fall under part C. So basically here we are talking about deductions in respect of certain incomes. So right from section 80IA up to section 80 RRB, none of the income linked deductions under chapter 6A would be available to these companies except the deduction under section 80 JJAA, which is in respect of emoluments paid to skilled workers. So what is important to note here is what is not allowed from chapter 6A are deductions which are covered under part C. So if there are any deductions under Part A of Chapter 6A, which are, I can say, deductions related to certain payments, like there's a donation which is made or there's a donation made to a political party, etc., those deductions would still be available to these corporates while computing their total income. So this was a list of the deductions and exemptions which the corporate entity needs to forego in order to fall in for the eligibility of a lower rate of tax specified by the two sections. Moving slide. Now we'll look at certain specific conditions for each of the section. First, we are talking about section 115BAA, which is in the context of existing domestic companies, and the lower rate of tax specified for the purpose of this section is at 22%. So the company which is covered or which is sought to be covered under this section, it can be a public company, it can be a private company, a listed company, or an unlisted company. There is no restriction or no condition as regards the amount of turnover of that entity. The shareholders of the company can be resident, they can also be non-resident. That does not hinder with the company availing the concessional rate of tax. It can be an existing domestic company, or alternatively, even a newly incorporated company can claim the lower rate of tax under section 115BAA if at all it is not fulfilling the criteria laid out under section 115BAB. So these are some typical conditions related to those companies which are availing the deduction, which are availing the new tax regime under section 115BAA. Now we have a small poser here with regards to section 115BAA itself. So let us say ABC and Company is a partnership firm which is engaged in manufacturing and trading of chemicals, and this partnership firm is converted into a company in the financial year 1920 as ABC Private Limited with the same set of business activities. Just to add to it, let us assume this conversion to be a tax neutral conversion which is compliant with the provisions of section 47. The question here is, can this company still avail the concessional rate of tax specified under section 115BAA? So the answer to this poser would be yes, because just as we had a look at the detailed conditions for section 115BAA, nowhere was it mentioned that the company cannot be formed out of an existing business. Therefore, under this particular scenario, even if the company is established by way of a conversion or a business reorganization, it would still be eligible to claim the lower rate of tax under the mechanism of section 115BAA. Now, just to sort of make a deviation from the earlier data which is given to us, what would be the answer in the event that this conversion was not in accordance with the provisions of section 47? Or so as to say, if this conversion was not a tax neutral transfer, would my answer be different? Can the company then claim the lower rate of tax, or then it would have to go in for the normal provisions? So my answer here is simple. Irrespective of the fact whether the business reorganization or the conversion, as we have covered in this specific instance, is a tax neutral conversion or it is liable to capital gains tax, irrespective of the fact, the company will still be able to claim the lower rate of tax at 22% as envisaged by section 115BAA, because there is no specific restrictive condition which is being covered under that particular section. Let us now look at the typical and specific conditions of section 115BAB. In this particular section also, the company can be is a domestic company. It can be a public company, a private company, a listed or an unlisted company. Nothing has been specified and nothing has been restricted either. There is no restriction or condition with regards to the turnover of the company which is intending to claim the lower rate of tax. The shareholders of this company can be resident or non-resident. Again, that does not hinder the company from availing the lower rate of tax. The company has to be compulsorily newly incorporated. So as unlike in the case of section 115BAA, where we were also covering existing companies, Section 115 BAB is specifically applicable only in the context of newly incorporated companies. Again, there is a further condition that the company has been set up and registered on or after the 1st of October 2019, and it has to commence its manufacture or production or the related research and development activities on or before the 31st of March 2023. So a window has been specified here with regards to the period within which the manufacturing or production activity in the context of this company has to commence. There's a very important condition here, which kind of, if I link to my poser earlier, our answer in this context would be different. So here there's a condition which says that this company should not be formed by the splitting up or reconstruction of an existing company. So if there were to be a business reorganization or conversion from a partnership firm into a corporate, then under the provisions of Section 115 BAB, those companies would not be eligible for claiming the lower rate of tax here. Also, with regards to the use of machinery, there is a cap which has been specified for the second-hand machinery which is used. So the maximum component of second-hand machinery in the total investment made in plant and machinery by the assessee cannot exceed 20% of such amount. So if there's a 100 crore investment made in plant and machinery, the old machinery or the second-hand machinery can be maximum up to an amount of 20 crores, not more than that. I would just like to highlight one point here. What happens in case the second-hand machinery is actually second-hand, but it has not been put to use for any purpose in India, or just to put it differently, it has never availed depreciation as such for use in India. So can imported second-hand machinery be considered as new? The answer is yes. The provision here is similar to that as we have in the context of section 32, that is pertaining to additional depreciation. So second-hand imported machinery would be treated as new, but if there is certain machinery or plant which was used for any purpose in India, which has taken the claim of depreciation while computing income of that particular business activity, then the maximum cap which has been placed with regards to the machinery utilized for the purpose of this business should be restricted to 20% of the total investment in plant and machinery. So these were few specific conditions for section 115 BAB. Further, now here we are going to look at what has been typically excluded from the meaning of the term manufacture or production of a thing. So the section has given out this exclusions or this particular activities which will not be considered as manufacture for the purpose of this particular section. Let us have a run through as to what all has been excluded. So development of computer software in any form or media will be excluded. Mining activities have not been considered to be manufactured in the context of this section. Conversion of marble blocks or perhaps granite into into slabs is not covered as manufacture. The section typically says here marble blocks or similar items. Bottling of gas into cylinder has been excluded. Printing of books and production of cinematographic films has been excluded. And further then, any other business which is notified by the central government to be a part of the exclusions would also be excluded from the term manufacture, and companies which are into these kind of activities would not be eligible to claim the concessional rate of 15% under section 115 BAB. However, they would still be eligible to claim the lower rate of 22%, which is envisaged by section 115 BAA. So in the earlier slide, we saw what was specifically excluded from the meaning of the term manufacture for the purposes of section 115 BAB. And here on this slide, I have few decisions, just to give a new dimension to this particular thought process of what could be manufactured, what could not be manufactured. So here the first decision is of Gujarat High Court in the case of additional depreciation. So they were evaluating whether this particular activity of carrying out some embroidery on certain fabrics would be considered as manufacture or not. And the court has held that this particular activity would fall within the definition of the term manufacture, and therefore the assessee would be the assessee would be entitled to avail additional depreciation. The second decision is of Delhi High Court in the context of Section 80IC. So they were evaluating the meaning of the term manufacture, and it was held that fabrication of steel, which again involves several processes, would fall within the meaning of the term manufacture, and the assessee would be eligible to claim deduction under Section 80IC insofar as the other conditions have been met. The third decision here is of the Allahabad High Court, and here it is stated that the High Court held that the assessee's activity of compressing of natural gas into CNG amounted to manufacture under the definition of Section 229 BA. So, in this particular case, an SLP was filed against this High Court against this High Court order by the revenue, and this particular SLP has been allowed. So, we will still wait and watch what is probably the outcome of this decision. Going further, now this is a small chart wherein a diagrammatic representation of what would be the tax rates for certain categories of income earned by these corporate entities is depicted. So income can be broken down into income which is derived from manufacturing activity, income which is from other sources, you could have house property income, other sources, etc. And such income which is covered by chapter 12, that is which have specific rates of tax. So insofar as much income from manufacturing activity and incidental income is to be considered, the lower rate of tax at 15% would be made applicable, increased by the mandatory surcharge and the education cess. Talking of income derived from other sources, which would be income from house property, income from other sources. So in this case, instead of 15%, the tax rate applicable in the context of this income would be 22%, increased by the mandatory surcharge at 10%, further increased by the higher education cess at 4%. It is important to note in this context that from such other income, there would be no deduction permissible for expenses incurred. So typically, if there is certain house property income which is being derived by the assessee, the standard deduction of 30% of NAV, which is otherwise available, would not be available in the context of this particular section. For these companies, which are availing the scheme under Section 115 BAB. Further, the income which is covered under Chapter 12 of the Income Tax Act, which is already taxed at specific rates under Section 112, 112A, etc., would continue to be taxed at those rates. However, it would be increased by the mandatory surcharge at 10% and the higher education cess at 4%. Apart from this, we have a very typical scenario here in the context of income being overstated by the assessee. Now, because this is a case wherein the income is predominantly taxed at a lower rate, there might be a scenario wherein the assessee has certain set of transactions entered into with its associated enterprises and it has inflated the amount of income. So here the provisions which are there in section 115BAB very crisply outline that to the extent of such excessive income as has been held to be so by the assessing officer, it would be taxed at the rate of 30%, and only such amount of income out of the income which is stated by the assessee, which is agreed to be at the arm's length kind of criteria as far as applicable to income, would be taxed at the concessional rate of 15%. So here, supposing there is a profit of 15 lakhs which is being declared by the assessee, and the assessing officer is of the view that actual income could be only 10 lakhs, and there's an overstatement to the extent of 5 lakhs, then this 5 lakhs of income would be taxed at the rate of 30%. So just to get a better understanding of what has been discussed in all these slides, I have picked up two illustrations which would help us analyze these provisions better. X Limited is incorporated on the 10th of October 2019 to commence manufacture of smartphones in Telangana. The manufacturing activity is started on the 2nd of December 2019. For the year ending March 2020, income of X Limited is as follows. So income from manufacturing of smartphones as per section 115 BAB is to the extent of 91 lakh 45,000. Bank interest, which is in the context of interest on deposits made with SBI on direction of local municipal corporation to obtain the license to run power backup system in the factory, is to the extent of 3 lakhs. Short-term capital gain on transfer of land. So land was purchased for construction of a factory and later on it was transferred because land was not suitable for factory construction is 18 lakhs. And short-term capital gain on transfer of truck which was purchased on 20th October 2019. Depreciation rate was 45% and it was later on transferred in the month of March 2020 is 20,000 rupees. There is no other asset in the block. So these are the details with regards to income which have been provided to us. Let us look at the other details relevant to the illustration. X Limited gets rental income of 6 lakhs from the letting out of a building. X Limited has donated rupees 50,000 to a political party and it wants to opt for the lower scheme of section 115 BAB. Find out the tax liability for the assessment year 2021. So in this case, the income which is derived from letting out of the property, which would be taxable under income from house property, would be straight away taxed at 6 lakhs. There would be no ad hoc deduction under section 24, which would be permissible from this income. The PGBP, which is the income which is derived from the manufacturing activity, would be taxed at 15%, which is 91 lakh 45,000. There is a short-term capital gain here, out of which 20,000 pertains to depreciable asset and 18 lakhs is in respect of sale of land. And there is income from other sources, which is interest on the bank deposit which has been made to the extent of 3 lakhs. So the gross total income of the assessee in this case comes to some 1 crore 18 lakh 65,000 rupees. Coming to the deductions, like I said, any deduction in respect of payments which are made. So in this case, it is payment which is a contribution to a political party is permissible. From the income linked deductions, only deduction under section 80 JJAA is permissible. All other income linked deductions are not permissible to corporates opting for this particular scheme. So your donation which is taken is availed as a deduction. So that gives me a net income of 1 crore 18 lakh 15,000. On the house property component, tax rate is 22%. In the context of non-depreciable asset, my tax rate is 22%. Context of depreciable asset related gain plus other manufacturing income, my tax rate is 15%. So accordingly, I find out my income tax at the various rates which I applied, the mandatory surcharge at 10%. I add my education cess and I derive my tax liability. So what was important here to note was from that chart that only such income which is from the manufacturing activity and incidental income would go at the concessional rate of 15%. If the assessee is earning any income under other heads like house property, other sources, it would go straight away at 22% without claiming any deduction in respect of any expenses whatsoever. If at all there were any gains from sale of equity shares, etc., which are covered at the specific rates given under Chapter 12, they would continue to be taxable at those specific rates only. So this is the first illustration which I wanted to cover as a part of this presentation. Moving on to so this was all I had to cover with regards to the provisions of section 115BAA and 115BAB. For any of you who wish to get the other illustration in this context, which is with regards to the applicability of MAT and the choice of the previous year from which a company should opt for the scheme, can get in touch with me on my email address and I would be glad to share that. I hope the discussion which has been running through this video is clear to all of you. For more updates related to direct tax, you can please subscribe to my channel on YouTube, which is CA Prachi Parekh. Also, share this particular video. It would be useful for the students who are appearing for November 20 attempt as revision, and it would also be useful for professionals who would be applying the provisions of this section in their practice. Thank you so much.